If you are 70 years old or older and you still hold an Australian driver's license, what you are about to hear could decide whether you keep driving your own car next year or whether someone else has to drive you to the shops, to your medical appointments, and to see your grandchildren. Stay with me for the next few minutes because I am going to walk you through exactly what is changing with senior driver rules and medical tests across Australia, state by state, so you know precisely what applies to you, when it applies, and what you need to do to protect your independence. Welcome back to Centrelink Age Pension, the channel that helps Australian seniors and pensioners stay informed, stay prepared, and stay ahead of the changes that affect your daily life. If you are new here, hit that subscribe button and tap the bell because we cover the updates that really matter to you, from pension payments to concessions, and today, one of the biggest topics older Australians are searching for right now: driving licence rules for seniors. Let's get straight into it. Australia does not have one single national rule for older drivers. Each state and territory runs its own system with its own age thresholds, its own medical requirements, and its own penalties. That means what applies to your neighbour in another state might be completely different to what applies to you. So I am going to break this down region by region, and I want you to listen carefully for your own state, because getting this wrong could mean fines, license suspension, or worse, an accident that could have been prevented. Let's start with New South Wales. If you are 70 years old or older in New South Wales, you are required to provide an annual medical fitness to drive assessment as part of your licence renewal. This is a check done through your general practitioner who reviews your vision, your cognitive function, your reflexes, and any underlying health conditions that could affect your ability to drive safely. If your doctor believes you are still fit to drive without restriction, you continue on as normal. If your doctor has some concerns, you might be issued what is called a conditional licence, which could restrict you to driving during daylight hours, within a certain distance from your home, or on roads with lower speed limits. The key thing to remember here is that failing a medical assessment does not automatically mean losing your licence altogether. It often means adapting how and where you drive so you can keep your independence in a safer way. Now let's move to Queensland. In Queensland, once you turn 75, you are required to undergo an annual medical examination, and you must carry your current medical certificate with you every single time you drive. This is not optional. If you are pulled over and you cannot produce that certificate, you could be facing a fine of over $160. So, if you are a Queensland senior approaching 75, mark that birthday in your calendar not just as a celebration, but as a reminder to book in with your doctor and keep that paperwork in your glove box. Next, South Australia. If you are 75 or older in South Australia and you do not have any pre-existing medical conditions, you are required to complete an annual self-assessment fitness to drive test. This is a simpler process than a full medical exam, but it is still a legal requirement, and skipping it can put your license renewal at risk. For those who hold a license for vehicles other than a standard car, the age threshold actually drops to 70, and if you are 85 and still driving those other vehicle classes, you may also need to complete a yearly practical driving test. Now, Victoria takes a slightly different approach. There is no blanket age-based medical exam or practical test simply because you turn a certain age. Instead, Victoria focuses on individual assessment. However, once you reach 75, your license renewal period shortens, and instead of renewing every few years, you will need to renew every 3 years. If Transport Victoria becomes aware of a medical condition that could impact your safety on the road, they can request a review at any time, regardless of your age. This system is designed to look at your actual health and ability, not just the number on your birth certificate. Western Australia works differently again. If you are 80 years old or older in WA, you are required to undergo an annual medical examination. Your doctor also has the authority to recommend a practical driving assessment if they have concerns about your ability behind the wheel, even if you pass the basic medical checks. Western Australia's threshold of 80 is actually one of the more relaxed in the country. So if you are in your 70s in WA, you currently have more breathing room than seniors in states like Queensland or South Australia. Tasmania and the Northern Territory currently do not enforce an age-based medical exam or a practical driving test for standard car licences. However, and this is important, in both of these jurisdictions, you are still legally required to self-report any medical condition that could affect your ability to drive safely. This includes things like changes in your vision, heart conditions, diabetes complications, or the onset of any cognitive changes. Choosing not to report a condition that later contributes to an accident can have serious legal consequences. So even in these more relaxed states, honesty with your licensing authority is not optional. It is the law. Now, here is something every single senior driver across the country needs to hear, regardless of which state you are in. Vision testing is becoming an increasingly critical part of these assessments. As we age, conditions like cataracts, macular degeneration, and glaucoma can develop gradually, sometimes without us even noticing the decline because it happens so slowly. This is why regular eye examinations, separate from your driving medical, are so important. Book an appointment with your optometrist at least once every 1 to 2 years, even if you feel your eyesight is fine, because early detection can be the difference between keeping your independence and losing it. Cognitive assessment is the other major factor now being weighed more heavily by doctors and licensing authorities across Australia. This does not mean every senior is being tested for dementia. It means doctors are paying closer attention to reaction times, memory, decision-making under pressure, and spatial awareness during routine checkups. If you have noticed yourself becoming more hesitant at intersections, struggling to judge distances, or feeling more fatigued after short drives, these are worth mentioning to your doctor honestly. It is far better to have that conversation early and make small adjustments than to wait until a serious incident forces the decision for you. Let's talk about conditional licenses for a moment, because I think this is the part that brings the most relief to seniors once they understand it properly. A conditional license is not a punishment. It is a practical solution that allows you to keep driving in situations where you are genuinely safe, while placing sensible boundaries around situations where risk increases. This could mean no night driving, no highway driving, sticking to a radius around your local suburb, or avoiding peak hour traffic. Thousands of Australian seniors are currently driving under these conditions, safely and confidently, doing their grocery shopping, visiting friends, and attending medical appointments, simply with a slightly modified scope to their licence. It is not the end of your driving life. It is an adjustment that keeps you on the road longer and more safely. So what should you actually do right now, today, after watching this video? First, find out your exact state or territory requirements by checking your local transport authority website, because rules are being reviewed and updated regularly, and what applies this month could shift again. Second, if you are approaching one of these age thresholds, 70, 75, or 80, depending on your state, book your medical assessment early rather than leaving it until the last minute, because appointment availability with doctors is often tighter than people expect. Third, keep copies of your medical certificates both in your car and at home, so you are never caught without proof when you need it. Fourth, have an honest conversation with your family about your driving. It might feel uncomfortable, but involving the people who care about you in this process means you have support, not judgment, if changes are needed down the track. I also want to say this clearly because I think it gets lost in all the talk about fines and rules and restrictions. These medical checks exist to protect you, not just other road users. Nobody wants you to be involved in an accident because a treatable medical issue went unaddressed. A regular checkup that confirms you are perfectly fit to drive is not a burden. It is peace of mind, both for you and for everyone who loves you and wants you safely on the road for years to come. Before you go, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me which state or territory you are in, and whether these rules have changed anything about how you plan to approach your next license renewal. Your comment could help another senior watching this video who is dealing with exactly the same questions and does not know where to start. If this video helped clear things up for you, do me a favor and hit that like button. It genuinely helps this information reach more seniors who need it. Subscribe to Centrelink Age Pension if you have not already, because we are covering pension updates, concession changes, and everything affecting older Australians every single week. And if you have a friend or family member who is 70 or older and still driving, share this video with them today. It might just be the reminder they needed. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves out there, and I will see you in the next one.